Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's another episode. Let's Talk Buffs. I'm sitting here with my co-host Carter Dillon. Carter, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Since the last time we went live, the Buffs destroyed UCF. The best game I've seen in the prime era, in my opinion. Just let me know how you're feeling, real quick.
Yeah, I'm good. Definitely CU's most complete game in the prime era. So it's hard not to feel optimistic going forward. They're sitting at 4-1 right now. Got a chance to make a run here and get ranked, and then sooner, as sooner rather than later, we'll be looking at the Big 12 championship like it's right here. So I'm obviously feeling pretty good.
Yeah. Do you feel like the Buffs should be ranked right now? What's your opinion on that? Seems
No,
split conversation.
no, I don't. I don't think they deserve it yet. I mean, they got their asses kicked by Nebraska, and Nebraska is not even ranked. So I think if you beat K State, I think they're locked to get ranked, and then it's obviously up from there. But I think they need one more win.
Yep. No, I'm in total agreement with you. I don't think they've done enough yet. Especially that we're sitting here talking about their only convincing win, right? I feel like it would be different if you went out there and you dominated North Dakota State. If you went out there and just dominated CSU, because even the CSU game, that really wasn't domination. They pulled away, is what happened for a lot. Like that's what happened. Fourth quarter. So yeah, I feel like if they had more dominating wins on their schedule, I might say, hey, why aren't the Buffs ranked? It's just not the case right now. They don't deserve it. Um, what this game represents for me, though, is a sign that they can be ranked. Like that's what this game represented for me. The domination of this game was like, hey, I don't think the Buffs can't be ranked at all. I think that this puts them more in like, hey, can the Buffs compete for a Big 12 title after this game? That was the conversation I was having in my head. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I think that was a big turning point. We talked about it before the UCF game, how if you win this game, you really kind of catch your stride. They've found their footing. I think they found their identity on both sides of the ball. And this is just where you set the standard and you keep pushing forward. But you're already 2 games away from a bowl game. They should definitely be bowl eligible by the time the year's over. And I am definitely not putting the Big 12 too far ahead of this team. I think ESPN, or I forget what outlet it was, has them ranked as the third best percentage to be in the Big 12 championship. So,
Yeah.
I mean, big strides obviously coming from how after the first 2 weeks of this season went.
The dog. This is a little off topic, but I'm gonna be so depressed because I'm not gonna blame the kids at all when they do it. But I'm gonna be so depressed when CU plays their bowl game and then Travis and Shador aren't playing. Oh my god, bro. It's gonna be so depressing. But hey,
Hopefully,
I'm not even gonna
hopefully it's
blame
a
them.
bit. Hopefully, if it's a big enough game that they will be playing.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully it is a big enough game. I don't want to play in like whatever the Nacho Bowl or with all the stupid little bowls they're playing, and I wouldn't blame the kids at all for not playing it. But let's get into this preview. I want to start with, or not preview. We're going to recap the game and just like kind of what stood out to us after watching the game. Different things. I came away with a lot of different opinions than what I had prior. Like it, CU drastically, like their ceiling drastically improved with me. And with that came, hey, I have different opinions on these players. So I want to get into the offensive side of the ball and just how this affected their season. Specifically, why not start off with the offensive line? CU ran the ball their most efficiently as well under the prime era. I don't think it's a coincidence that the time that they had their most dominant running game in the prime era, they also had their most dominant win in the run era. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. Um, you have to give credit to the offensive line. What did you think of that unit? I was scared going in, Carter. I looked at the names out there and I was like, oh no, like this is not great. And then it was the best game they've played, in my opinion.
Yeah, we talked about it before the game when I sent you the players that are not going to be playing today, and that included Khalil Benson. And I was like, man, he is either your starting right guard or your starting right tackle. So
Yeah.
what are they going to do? They started Phillip Houston. We've seen that experiment, although he had a decent game versus UCF, but I thought Kareem Harden played amazing. This was the O-line's best game so far, both run blocking and pass blocking. I think Shador was only sacked twice this game. He's still one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the country, but it'll be interesting to see what they do with Benson coming back. I assume they'll slot him back in, but I think they'll continue to shuffle it because I thought Kareem Harden played pretty good, and they obviously had their most success running the ball, and that's a big a testament to the offensive line. You know, they put in 2 touchdowns on the ground this game, and we've known that if CU can run the ball and balance out this offense more, that it's just going to make them much more dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. The only thing I do a little bit with you is like I don't think Harden's shown me enough yet. And especially like he did have some mishaps in that game for sure. I think that's fair, being that this was his first game starting. Like I think really if I could ask Kareem Harden guarantee a truthful answer, I don't think he saw himself starting this year. Well, based off where he was on the depth chart to begin the season. So I still think he has some stuff going on there. Philip Houston also does, though. Like my whole thing with the offensive line was still the talent level you have at the offensive line. I was like, but it made more sense. Like there were less missed assignments and stuff like that. It just felt like the unit gelled more than what I'm used to seeing in the past. Guys were getting upfield. They were getting on the second blocker more consistently than what I saw times in the past where it felt like, he was a tick late there. And because of that, the linebacker stuffed the run. It was a 2-yard gain. Instead of in this game, Philip Houston, we posted on at Let's Talk Buffs, Philip Houston is working upfield, gives a big chip to his guy, and works upfield to seal the block. And Dallin Hayden pretty much has a walk-in touchdown. Like these are the type of plays where I still don't think Philip Houston is like the most amazing talent of all time, but it was good to see this offensive line gel and just hit their assignments at more of a consistent basis.
That's what you need with this group. I think the left side of the offensive line is solidified. I think Tyler Brown next to Jordan Seaton that's their good left side. And this right side, if you can just find 2 guys that play well together along with Hank, I think that's your best recipe for success. You're not going to have enough talent to go out there and just bully guys on that side. But if that side can be good enough where you can protect Shador for long enough and then run the ball at a decent rate, I think that's your key to success with this offense.
I think you're totally right, especially this year. Like, I think CU's offensive line going into next year is going to be substantially better, just having another year under some of these guys' belts. And then you're probably going to go out there and add other players too. And it's going to be a competition between the guys you have now versus the guys then. You have a year under these guys' belt with new competition. That's depth. Like all of this other stuff there is going to be big. I want to throw this take out there, though. Hank gets beat up on a lot. And I don't really even think it's like not deservingly so. I think a lot of the times I don't think he's having the greatest season of all time, but I do see some traits, him only being a sophomore too. I think Hake's going to end up being a pretty good center. That's something I have to say. He just has some traits to him. This is going to sound weird, but I'm an offensive line guy. If you follow me for the NFL stuff, you know that. He's like super flexible. This is his center. Like the way he's able to contort his body and still hold a block is really unique and different. And it's something that plays to him. It's like his ability to recover is great because of stuff like that. He's still putting it all together. I don't think he's having the greatest season of all time, but he just has some traits that get me excited for the future. So with that being said, Carter, I want to know for this next game, let's just put out your ideal starting 5, actually. It's not even for the next game. Your ideal starting 5 with the players the Buffs have on their roster right now. Who would start? We've seen this group change every game, it feels like. So let me know what your ideal group there is.
I think for this next game, I'm going to veer off your question because I do have 2 different answers a little bit. Okay. I think you have to give Kareem Harden another game, and I think you have to give Philip Houston another game because you had your best game as an offensive line with those 2 next to each other. And if it continues versus a ranked opponent, I think that's your ideal line. Ideally, I would like Benson playing right tackle because that's where he started 12 games for Indiana last year.
Mm.
I just think you gotta find something that works and stick with it. I think this shuffling is not going to work the entire season. And I think since it worked versus UCF, you roll with it. You get another week under your belt. Kareem Harden's first start, Philip Houston's second. I'm rolling with it. I think it worked great, and that's what I'm going to stick with for this game.
I like it, Carter. I feel like that's a little bit of a hot take. So what are you doing with Benson? Is Benson just backing these guys up, or is he playing somewhere else, or what's the deal with that one, in your opinion?
He's ready to roll, but if someone's not playing good, he's ready to hop in there. If someone gets hurt, he's ready to hop in there. But yeah, I'm just sticking with this line.
Fair enough. I mean, it's the line you had the best results with, so I understand your take there. I absolutely do. I do have a different answer than you, though. I would be going right tackle, Philip Houston. I would be going right guard, and then I would be going Khalil Benson probably. I think Benson should play right tackle. I don't know. I think Philip Houston is one of the guys on your team. Again, we're talking about an offensive line, in my opinion, that's just not that talented. So we're not like it's hard to differentiate some of these guys. But I think Philip Houston can do some things athletically in the run game that some of these other guys can't. So I want to play him. I do. Especially, I mean, they were running all of this. They were running all this different zone action and stuff like that. Split zone is what I'm trying to figure out in my head in that game and stuff like that. And you saw Philip Houston climbing to the second level, making blocks like that. So I want to start him, but I feel like Khalil Benson is my second best offensive lineman. So I want to start him at guard. I would prefer him at tackle, but I want to start him at guard in this scenario. Hank, Brown, Seaton to finish it off for me and mine. And you know what? We'll see. I wouldn't be shocked to see Kareem Harden play another game, if I'm being honest with you. I wouldn't be shocked to see a Kareem Harden and then Benson at tackle. I don't know what to really expect. I could see any three mismatch there of guys from Coach Prime and Pat Shurmur there for the Buffs.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Ideally, you'd want Benson out there. My thing with Benson is I think he's pretty solid in pass protection.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think as a right guard he is the greatest run blocker, and I think I weigh the run blocking with this team higher than the pass blocking because I know what Shedeur can do when he's under pressure, and if we can run the ball effectively, that'll just help out our pass protection.
Fair enough, man. Fair enough. I like that answer. I think it'll be interesting to follow. For all I know, for the way this offensive line is shaking up this year, Peyton Kirkland will be the goddamn center at the end of the year. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Hey, Loadholt was watching Carday Smith, who has received a crystal ball to come to see you. He was at his game for the bye.
Did he get a crystal ball?
He did get Adam Munster Tiger crystal balled him. So and Phil Loadholt visited him at his game. So maybe that's your starting right tackle. You know, they got that youth movement going on.
That'd be sick. That would be sick. That's one that I definitely want. By the way, now that you bring that up, I love that CU is really recruiting more than they have last year, in Prime's first year, and then this offseason. I got to give them props, and Phil Loadholt, Coach Loadholt, props. They're recruiting offensive linemen, and I'm fine with you doing this transfer portal thing at a lot of positions. The offensive line, I'm not cool with it. I'm just not cool with it. I don't think you're going to find the best players, and I think it's really hard to gel these players. Like, I think Peyton Kirkland could be a damn good player in the system a year or two down the road when he actually has an idea of this offense and he can just slide in. And that's what they're kind of building. Carter Smith comes, that's going to be their third high school recruit there for this next year on the offensive line. That's awesome. I love to hear that, man. So I do hope he comes. I really, really do. That would be dope. I also wanted to ask you about the running backs. We saw all three of them this last week, Carter. All three of them. Is there a back in your mind that should be getting the most amount of carries or even just the most amount of playing time, I'll say? Not even carries, let's say playing time. Or do you think it's just like, hey, we're doing a by committee here, and it's going to be pretty split?
Yeah, I think you like Dallin in most scenarios and Micah in the second most scenarios, but I do think Isaiah Augusto deserves more carries. I put a tweet out on Let's Talk Buffs of how he looked in his first 2 carries. The guy just runs hard. I think it really should be a committee going forward, just feeding the hot hand, but all 3 of them are ready to roll because I think you can trust all 3 of them. Micah had a touchdown. Dallin had the longer touchdown. Isaiah ran hard. Micah started the game with those big runs. I think it was the second drive, had those big runs. They're 3 solid running backs, and I think when they're in their flow and they're hot, you just got to keep feeding the hot hand.
Yeah. I think that's not a bad take at all, especially when you're talking about just running the ball. There are guys that I think get better as the game goes along, and I could see Isaiah being one of those type of players. I really could. I have it written down. I think all of these guys, I'm going to even include Draylon in this, is bring a different factor to the team. Like, I think Hayden is probably your most well-rounded back. I can trust him in pass protection. I think he's going to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield. And I think he's a very useful player in the run game. I think Micah, on the other hand, is the best at creating the most amount of yards after contact. He doesn't go down easy. I think that's his best trait in over all these other running backs. When I look at Isaiah, I think he's the most decisive. He hits the hole hard, and he gets to the second level in an instant. And then I think Draylon is the best for your open field plays. I think he's the best for your gadgety. Okay, we're doing a swing pass out of the backfield. We're going to toss it to Draylon, and he's going to make something happen in space. I think all of these guys bring something different. And like you said, I mean, I'm starting the game as a committee here, and I'm playing I'm playing these guys to their most useful asset. Or if I'm Pat Shermer, I'm doing that. But as the game goes on, like you said, Carter, I'm feeding the hot hand. I think any one of these guys can be the guy for a game. Maybe not Draylon, but the other 3 for sure. I think any of them could end up being the best player in a single game. And we just need to ride that hot hand. So, yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation. I'm not so sure why it feels like, and I'm on Twitter. I need to get off of Twitter sometimes, man. I hate reading the comments. Go ahead.
I think we nailed it. I think there's not a guy that sticks out at a talent level that just deserves more carries. I think Dallin is the most talented, but I don't think the distance from him to Micah is anything crazy enough where we're like, okay, we have to get this guy the ball. And I didn't even include Draylon, but Draylon deserves touches each game in whatever way they want to use him. He is their gadget player, and I think he deserves touches. But just as a running back stance, I think we nailed it. You just ride the hot hand. Isaiah had the least amount of carries of the running backs and had the most yards. I mean, if you just ride the hot hand, I think you're finding a way to find success every game.
Yeah, I totally agree. And what I was getting at is I don't understand why everyone wants to even have to make it a debate on who needs to get 30 carries next game. I don't think that's the discussion for everybody on Twitter. Like I feel like we feel it out per game, like you said. So just thought I'd throw that out there. All right, so moving on to wide receivers. There weren't many shocks, but it would be it wouldn't be a good recap show if I didn't touch on Shepard and his touchdown. On coming back from the drop Hail Mary type play that Shedeur threw him last time, he should have caught it. He didn't, but it sparked a major conversation, just like it has this week with the running backs, it feels. On, hey, should this guy be benched for Omarion Miller, who had a great play the week before? And what did we come on here and say, Carter? We said the same exact thing as the running backs. We said all this means is that it just needs to be more of a rotation. Both of these guys should play. It doesn't mean I'm benching them. It doesn't. On the depth chart, I'm fine having Will Shepard as the number 1 receiver. I'm fine even him having the majority of them. but I don't think people understand that when you look at the snap count at the end of the game, when those are released, and you're able to see who played the snap counts, and you see that little percentage of, hey, this guy played whatever percentage of the offensive snaps, that can go up or down. It's not like there's 3 wide receivers that all say 100, 100, 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We talked about it and we nailed it. And Omarion was on the field. He didn't get a touch, but he was on the field, and I think they did exactly what they should have. He was on the field running routes, and Will Shepherd had a bounce back game. We put out the clip. It was an insane catch. It should have been an interception. And Will just comes out of nowhere, and boom, it's a touchdown. He had 99 yards. He should have had a second touchdown that game. He should have just kept running straight on that one. But it was a bounce back game. It just pisses me off because it's like he's never going to drop that Hail Mary again.
Yeah.
There is never going to be a scenario where he drops a Hail Mary. He is 9 times out of 10 a hero. Oh my gosh, this guy's legit. The one time he made a mistake in the biggest moment does not define how good he is. Omarion had an amazing play, but I'm glad they didn't bench him. I knew they wouldn't bench him. We nailed it. They should just keep rotating it. They have too much talent to not rotate.
Yeah. Yeah, and guess what? To all the people that are going to continue this and just be like, all right, so now Shepherd should take all of Omarion's snaps. I don't think that either. Like, that's not what we're doing. Like that's the main point here. Like what Carter said is true. All of these guys should be rotated, and maybe Shepherd sees more snaps than Omarion. But I don't think Omarion's snap should go away. He should still see the field. It's a lot like we said with the running back. Maybe you ride the hot hand for that day. If Omarion gets 2-3 catches quick and he has 60 yards at the end of the first half, we're gonna roll with a little more Omarion. He's gonna see the majority. Will Shepherd, you're still gonna see snaps. We're rolling with him maybe 60-40%, something like that. I don't think you really have to pick a starter. I don't think that's right. Is there anything else on offense you wanted to hit on? Did you want to talk about Travis or Shedeur? I just feel like it's so obvious what they do at this point that it's like, what am I even talking about anymore? I just come on here every week and say the same thing. They're amazing.
Yeah, I have one more thing on Omarion, actually.
Okay, please.
I would like this team, Pat Shurmur specifically, the way they scheme Draylon touches, not like running back style, but the way they scheme Draylon wide receiver stylistically touches, I would like to see them do for Omarion. He's really good after the catch. He's proven that. And I don't, he's on the field, he's running routes, but I would like to see them scheme him touches, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, totally. I don't hate that take at all. They scheme touches to LeJohntay. They scheme touches to even Jimmy. They scheme touches to Draylon. But there's different type of yards after catch wide receivers. Tyreek Hill was a yards after catch receiver. Demaryius Thomas was another different type of yards after catch receiver, where you saw Drake London on the Falcons rip a big run off after the catch just in that last game that they had. So I think there's different types, and there's definitely a place for a bigger body wide receiver. And he, like you said, he's kind of proven it. Where maybe I'm not looking to rip off the 70-yard run like Jimmy can do, but Omarion's going to break 2 tackles on his way to 15 yards, and that's something Jimmy's not going to do. If someone caught him right, then he's going down. So it's just different types of yards after catch wide receivers, and I haven't seen any schemed kind of touches for the bigger guys that they have out there at wide receiver. That'd be interesting. I like it. I don't hate that take at all. Let's talk about the defense, Carter. Before we get into the positions and what we learned from this last game against UCF, what do you think if I told you that the Colorado Buffaloes have the best defense in the Big 12? Would you believe me or would you not believe me?
I would believe you.
Okay. Tell me a little why.
Because I think it's true. I just had this up. I think they are the highest graded run defense in PFF in college football.
Yeah, that's
through
right.
5 weeks. If we said that coming into the season, we would be having a party. Okay, CU is going to win the college football playoff. But not only is it the run defense, their pass defense is great. They have the best cornerback in college football, Travis Hunter. Preston Hodge, I think he's one of the best nickels in the Big 12. He had that huge interception in the first drive. He saved what could have been an awful start to that game. It was looking like Nebraska all over again, and Preston just saved the day. DJ McKinney's a reliable cornerback too. I don't have to really worry about him, kind of the same way we think of Riley Moss as did Pat Surtain. I think of that DJ McKinney to Travis. I'd like to see a little bit more from the pass rush. I think we had some more expectations coming into this year for the pass rush, just sack numbers wise. They're doing great TFL wise, but sack numbers wise. But I fully agree. I think they're the best defense in the Big 12, and I think that's what is going to have this team riding high when we get into December.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be shocked at all if at the end of this year we're looking at the Buffs and we're talking about their defense more than we are their offense. Like, I really do think that that's something could happen. There's just less – and here's the reason why, guys. The Buffs offense is super, super explosive, and that's what's always going to get all the headlines. There's just more weaknesses on their offense. I'm looking at the offensive line when I say that, than there is their defense. Their defense doesn't just have a big, sore, like, oh my gosh, that is an issue position group. They don't have that at all across the board, while still having really, really good talent. Like, to where you might say, yeah, that LeJontay Wester guy's really fast and really, really good at wide receiver. I could be like, that Preston Hodge guy is really good at corner. Whereas you might say, hey, I have Travis Hunter at wide receiver, because I had Travis Hunter at corner. Like, I could go on and on. I hadn't even gotten into Nikhai Hill-Green, who I'm Joey's stamp of approval is almost my favorite player on this entire team. I love when I'm able to watch the film at the end of the week and I'm just looking at 41 damn near the whole time. I love watching Nikhai Hill-Green. This defense is really good. But before that's just the broader. I wanted to bring up some points around this defensive line, though. They held UCF's rushing offense, which is the best going into this game, and in the entire NCAA to 177 yards, which was damn near, or if not, I don't remember exactly how much it was, split in half of what they were averaging across other teams. And if you think this is a fluke, we're going to see in the coming weeks, but I'll tell you what, this Gus Malzahn offense typically has really, really good running teams, and all they did this year was add KJ Jefferson, and then they got another year of RJ Harvey, then added other running backs to the group. So, like, I think that this rushing offense is just really good. I just thought that this run defense was even better. Defensive line, Chidoze was massive, huge. Can't stress it enough. He is he's a really good football player at the college level. It's not even a question. He's the exact type of guy that I struggled against when I played offensive line. Low center of gravity, gets under you because I'm tall. This guy's 5'11", so he's automatic. If you have an offensive line coach, they're going to tell you lowest man wins. Every person has always heard that a million times. Well, he has an advantage that way because he's like 5'11". He's going to automatically get under you and just lift you up and hold you there. It's exactly what he does. So he was a monster this game, had a few really good plays. And if he wasn't making the play, he was stacking two guys on him, which was freeing things for other players. Additionally, I just want to point this one thing out, Carter, before I give you the floor on Chidoze. I think the difference between him and what is the kid's name? The nose tackle, really big.
And Quinn Barnes.
My bad, guys. And Quinn Barnes. Quinn Barnes is really good at holding up two guys, but I don't really necessarily worry about him making the play. With Chidoze, I very much worry about him making the play. And that's the difference between those two guys. What did you think about his performance? How much of a help do you think he was, and how much of a help do you think he is going to be going into the future?
Yeah, across this whole defensive line, I think he's your most valuable piece. I think, he doesn't put up the stat numbers, and I don't think you necessarily want your nose tackle to be doing that. It would be awesome if he's recording sacks every game after every game, but he's doing what this defense needs, and he's a key part to why they're stopping the run. I think Nakai and Bentley are the main reason, but he's a huge, huge reason, and we're going to need it going forward. That was a great rushing attack that we stopped. Kansas State's got a great rushing attack. We're just going to need it throughout the year. If you can't stop the run, you can't win football games, and Chidozi's your best run defender on that line.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close. He's just super valuable in that spot. And it's crazy, CU's run defense has been like that the last 2 games before this without him, right? So, like, it's been really good, but with him, it's even better. I want to give a shout out too. I thought Amari McNeil had his best game of the season, big 88. This game, I got to see more. Excuse me. This game, I got to see more. When UCF was down, it was just like, okay, we got to pass the ball. We can't stick into this run defense thing. Amari had a few good, really, really good pass rush reps, if I'm being honest. Amari was really good. Like, he was tying dudes up too. He just looked super explosive this game. And I hadn't really seen that from him this year. So
yeah, he had a sack.
Yeah. Amari was a ball player this last game. Like, if he can continue that up over the season, I thought, like, okay, we were missing Deion Hayes, but we got a much better version of Amari than what I'm used to seeing this year, at least, with him in this last game. And it kind of made the difference there, especially on your interior. It was awesome to see.
My favorite thing with this defensive line is the depth that they have.
Yes.
They have the ability to, all right, you give me 3 hard plays right now, and then you get a break, because they have the depth to do that. I think Ryan Buell is a great player.
He's been really good.
And Quinn Barnes can go in there. We just talked about Amari, Chidozie. Like, they have depth to be able to. Shane Cokes, didn't even talk about Shane Cokes. Corey Carter's hurt. He would be factoring in. Tawfiq Thomas gets in there a little bit.
He does.
They just have guys that can rotate and constantly be a refresher and just out physical the opposing team.
Yeah. Like, the CU has a bunch of playable players on the defensive line. I said that right after the North Dakota State game too. I very much took notice of that. They don't have a guy that's just like, ooh, that's really rough out there. They don't have that. Even with their depth, like, they're playable players. They're not all superstars, but they go out there and a lot of guys at least get the job done, which is awesome. I mean, I really didn't know that this group would be this much improved going into the season, where not only do we have a pretty good starting lineup, it's like the depth looks solid, man. Like, we're going to have players next year across the defensive line that I'm going to be excited to see. So that's really good. Across the edge room, Sam had his best game of the season too, for sure. He was explosive, and I just thought we were able to see him play more when he was able to pin his ears back. In these last games, he hasn't really been able to do that. We saw the opportunity here. If CU gets a lead, these teams are going to be forced to pass more, and Sam got after the quarterback. Taja McCoy, he had 2 sacks. He was really good too. And it was just impressive to see, because when Carter sent me the injury report before the game, I was kind of like, holy shit, this is going to be a long day. Deion Hayes is out. Like, I was freaking out. I was even texting. I was like, oh, God. Like, that's really how I was feeling too. What did you make of, like, this edge room and without even Deion Hayes?
Yeah, it was very encouraging to see, because I think Deion's your most well-rounded edge in that room. And Sam stepped up. He had a sack. Taj McCoy, breakout game for Taj McCoy. 2 sacks on the day. What year is true sophomore? Like, if you're going forward with Taj McCoy, Samuel Okunlola, who's a redshirt sophomore, I expect him to be back next year. Arden Walker, who's had some good time getting in there.
What's the other kid's name?
They have a Quincy Wiggins in there, who's a younger guy from LSU. They have Brandon Davis Swain, who's gotten in there a little bit. Like, they have just young guys that are coming in there and contributing right now. Like, it was so awesome to see Taj McCoy come in and have that big game. And it was good to see Sam step up in Daion's absence and have as good of a game as he did. It's just a testament to the depth and a testament to Robert Livingston just getting the best out of his guys. And this defense is legit, man.
It really is. It's exciting to see. Carter, what's the kid's name? I was DMing you about him, and he played edge a little bit, and he liked one of our tweets.
Nikhil Webb-Walker.
Yes, he looked pretty promising too. Really long athlete guy. Like, he looked to me, I haven't even looked up anything about him. He looked like he was like 6'6", 6'7" out there. The only thing I was like, dude, you just need to extend your arms out a little more. Like, if you use all of that arm length, you're going to be an issue, because he looked passable too. And then this was still against UCF's starting tackles, and these starting tackles are behemoths of human beings on UCF.
It's hard to judge the transfer portal, obviously, but I mean, he's a redshirt sophomore. We should expect him to be in a buff uniform next year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they just got a bunch of young guys that are going to keep contributing this year. But looking towards the future, that room is looking bright.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I feel like, okay, again, this is like what I was talking about with Travis and Shedeur. With linebackers, I don't even know what to say, because you expect it out of these guys at this point. Or at least I did.
I got one thing on the linebackers, doesn't include the two starters.
Okay.
Before the game came out, we saw Jeremiah Brown, Trevor Woods aren't going to play. Then shortly after, we found out they're both intending to redshirt. It came out that they're both going to transfer, but Jeremiah Brown came out and said he's not leaving. He just wanted to redshirt. We don't know about Trevor Woods. And I was a little worried about their depth there. Obviously, Nakai and Bentley are playing amazing, but Jalen Wester came in there, and I no longer worry about our depth. That guy's been waiting for an opportunity, and he came in and he took the most of it. Forced that fumble that Cam returned for a touchdown. He played amazing. Like, I cannot speak enough about Robert Livingston getting the best out of these guys. But I just wanted to give Jalen Wester his props.
Yeah, what year is Jalen Wester?
He is a true junior.
True junior. So he could have another year, and he will have another year. I doubt he leaves either, because both of these starting linebackers are going to leave. If Trevor Woods transfers out, and now I'm even looking at him, and I'm like, dude, would I transfer out? I don't know if I would, if I were Trevor Woods, because I think that starting linebacker job would go to him and Wester off the top of my head next year. So, yeah, I thought he was really good. He was flying around. He was making plays. He's a smaller frame dude, but I've seen plenty of smaller frame dudes work out at linebacker just fine, especially when you go run and hit. That's a type of linebacker in my head, is a run and hit linebacker. That's what Jalen Wester is. He's just running around hitting people. That's what he does. It hits him hard too. So that is exciting. I am not that much worried about the depth. I think Jalen Wester could come in and play really well for this team. Absolutely do think so. Kai Hill-Green's amazing. I think we need to start having the conversation on if he's going to be drafted is dead, right? I think that was a conversation going into this year. I even think people would say he probably isn't, coming from Charlotte. He definitely is. He definitely is. It's just about where now. I was thinking about it. I'm like, Nagai Hill-Green could be like a top 100 pick in my head. Pretty easy.
This guy is going to go to the Senior Bowl during Spets.
Ooh, the Senior Bowl. Carter, we need to go to the Senior Bowl.
He's not even on their watch list, which is crazy to me. But that guy's he's gonna make that Senior Bowl roster, and that's where his stock's really gonna rise, in my opinion.
That's an interesting conversation. Do you think Shedeur goes to the Senior Bowl?
No.
I went last year to our audience. If Shedeur went to the Senior Bowl, it would be mayhem. It would be so crazy. They let these journalists or whatever, there's a bunch of us sitting in the stands. And I say a bunch of us, it's probably like 200 people, right? Sitting up there. Probably even more. I don't know. But they let everyone on the field in this big line. everyone just swarms to the big name players. There would be, out of those 200 people, there'd be 180 of them standing at Shador trying to get a question, bro. It would be so much. I don't even know if I'd go if I were him. Maybe just off of that. Well, let's move on. DBs before we move into our next part here. The main note I have here is Preston's really, really, really good. He caught a lot of heat this last week, too. It was kind of ridiculous because Livingston ran so much cover one man in the game prior. Yeah, go look up your starting wide receivers highlight film. You're going to see 50% of those plays pretty much are going to be slot fades against cover one man. It's a beater. That's what that is. It's a beater. It's really hard to stop. When you're a slot corner, you have to cover the inside, the outside. You can't press to the sidelines like you can if you're an outside corner. You don't have the sideline as your friend, right? So you're everywhere on the field. The slot fade's like illegal. And Preston beat on it once. He was in okay position on two others, but people were still roasting him for it. Came out here and balled out. The best play of the game that set the tone. Tell me about Preston Hodge.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking crazy about him this offseason. Is he ready for Power 4 level coming from Liberty? Like, yes, dude. We knew this guy was going to be good. He's a stud nickel. Really good nickel player. I mean, that play where he got that interception, that's just football experience. Like, I am a football player. I know where my body needs to be to make this play, and I'm going to make the play.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of people turn their head around and actually make the play, too. Like, that whole thing was impressive. Because it literally, you see so many guys just running with their head turned back. Preston, let me locate the ball, pick KJ Jefferson. We're right back to Shador and the CU Buffs offense. That gets really scary when the Buffs start turning the ball over. That's when you're going to start to see blowouts. So, yeah, I don't even know if anything else at DB needs to be said. Do you have anything?
I think Carter Stoutmire's playing great in Shiloh's absence. I think he still needs to see the field even when he comes back.
Okay, fair enough. I think like in kind of a split sense, like you're going to play both of them in different scenarios and different times type thing.
Exactly.
Fair enough. I'm not mad at that at all. The next part of this episode I wanted to get into, and I should have highlighted at the beginning because anyone that was going to think this was interesting is already tuned out. But we are going to be talking about what players on the Colorado Buffaloes do you think, Carter, can be drafted? How many of them do you think can be drafted? Specifically for this next year, let's start there. Who are you looking at on this team as a draftable player, a leaguer?
I think you have three guys that are guaranteed 53-man roster locks going into this draft.
So too.
I think you're looking at Travis. Obviously, that guy's got potential to be the first overall pick.
Right.
You got Shador. He's going to be a starting quarterback next year somewhere. And then I think Nakai Hill-Green is your other 53-man roster lock. But I don't think the list ends there. I think Dayon. I think BJ Green could turn some heads. I think Will Shepard's got it. I think LeJonte's got it. That's just going to be more of like a combine Senior Bowl thing if those guys really pop. But they'll be on an NFL roster in the preseason, and I think they will be. Jimmy possibly too. A lot of these guys could be featured as a true number one or number two at a bunch of other FBS programs. So I think the wide receiver room is kind of a tricky one to guess.
Yeah.
But I think you got 3 53-man roster locks. Would you agree with that there?
I think you have 3 53-man roster locks. I do. I'm almost willing to put LeJonte Wester close, almost there. And he's very similar to Dayon. So if I went back and watched LeJonte the year before, his film was a little more impressive just because the ball was going to him a lot more. Or I don't even know, probably not even because he throws the ball around so much. I don't know. But he just was more impressive because he had to put the team on his back a little more, and he had to make a lot of plays for that team.
I have a question for you real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Do you think DJ McKinney is an NFL guy this draft cycle?
Not this draft cycle.
He's a redshirt sophomore, so he could, but he has got a lot of time to improve before he had to declare for the draft. Because he's been a guy that Prime talks about all the time, how the scouts can't stop talking about him at practice. So I just wanted to get your take on what you've seen from him.
I think he's still raw in a lot of areas, Carter, but I mean, I've watched the draft for far too long to know that these scouts don't give a damn. If DJ McKinney is a really good tester, none of that's going to matter. And that is exactly why these scouts are all over him. When you look at him, he's 6'2", 190 pounds. So he already is over exceeding expectations in height and length. I think he's going to run really good too. So like this is a guy that we're already talking about. Like, all right, DJ McKinney is going to probably be drafted because of measurables and stuff like that, and he's going to come back for another year and get more polished up, and we're going to come back and see if I can improve my draft stock. Type guy for me. I think DJ McKinney has a really good shot at making an NFL roster, and I just think people focus too much, like the people that don't focus on the NFL draft, because I see some people talk about, like, I don't know what Prime's talking about there. They don't know really how the NFL draft works. If DJ McKinney is a really big time tester, not only is you going to start him, they're going to continue to develop that and work on his skills and make him a better football player. Because maybe outside of Travis in that entire secondary, the most physically gifted player is DJ McKinney. I don't even think it's close. So, they're going to continue to work on that and make him into a guy that they hope can be a shutdown. And even if he isn't in college, I think the NFL is going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I think there's a few guys in that secondary that could be pros. Preston.
Yeah, Preston's good. Preston too will get. I think Preston gets drafted. I don't know how fast he's going to be.
Yeah,
but he's too good of a corner to not be drafted. I think he's too good. I've seen.
I think Cam could too.
Cam, yeah, he has a lot to work on, but I think he can. Or he doesn't have a lot.
Yeah, and I think that's.
He's just undersized, is what I mean by that. My bad. I just had a brain. He's just got a little small and undersized, and I don't know if he's going to test the best. But there's a good shot. He makes a 53 man. If anything but, Cam's going to be a monster on special teams. I'll tell you that right now. I don't have to see any of it.
My thing with Cam is he might go undrafted, but when he gets to a team, he is going to just throttle the gas pedal and never let up. He is going to make it impossible for a team to cut him.
Yeah, he's going to be that guy that the offensive coordinator gets pissed off at for smacking a wide receiver over the middle in training camp. But the defensive coordinator's taking notes like, all right, I kind of like this guy. That's going to be Cam.
Same with Shiloh, to be honest.
Shiloh.
That dude might get cut because he's hitting wide receivers too hard.
You're not lying, bro. You are not lying. So if I want to go over this real quick. I think we have 3 locks, right? Is what it was. And then I just want to count how many possibles though, right? How many possibles? Will Shepherd is possible. I think most likely not. I don't know if he's going to test the greatest. What do you think there?
Okay. See, I'm a Will Shepherd fan. I might be a homer a little bit. I think this dude's an NFL guy.
Fair enough.
He's just having a slow start to the year. If he stuck at Vandy, he's a lock NFL guy, just based off of production, I think.
I think he's definitely going to be on somebody's training camp. There's no question. I just don't know if someone's going to draft him.
Okay.
That's my only thing. I think no question he's on a training camp. He's going to be able to fight for a roster spot. I just maybe I'm hating. I don't know. I think Jimmy Horn has a really good shot because of how fast he's going to test. I mean, how fast? I think he's like a 4.3 guy, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find me the 4.3 guys that are undrafted. So I think Jimmy probably gets drafted. I also think I think LeJohntay is the second best wide receiver on this team. I really do. I think he's the most nuanced route runner on this team. What? He has the speed to match. He's just very, very slight frame. I think he gets drafted. Do you agree or disagree?
I think LeJohntay gets drafted, and I think what could make his stock rise even more is if we saw the return ability that we saw when he was at his previous college. If he could show some spark in the special teams game, then he would definitely be a lock.
Fair. Okay. So Shador, not even worth talking about. He will be a first round pick. Daion's another kid that teams are going to like because he is 265 pounds and athletic playing the edge. He's a guy that I would not be shocked to see a Senior Bowl invite to. If he plays, he needs to have more production though. He really does. He has 10 tackles, not the worst. He has 2 sacks this year. Oh, they both came against Colorado State. I don't even remember that. Okay, he has 2 sacks. That's not the worst.
I think he would. I think he would be a Senior Bowl riser type of guy for sure.
Yeah, I could see him in that setting for sure. Let's go back here. So that's Deion Chidoze. Do you think he's an NFLer?
This is a tough one because of the size thing.
The size thing, yeah. I don't know how many 5'11", and I don't even know if he's 5'11", if I'm being honest with you.
I think he might be listed at 5'10".
Yeah, is he? Oh, that makes more sense. I think he's not close to 6 foot.
He's listed at 5'11", I think.
I think that if the Senior Bowl invited him in, if they put that tape measure up to him, he had an inch. That's what I think is happening there. I think he's closer to 5'10". Now, he has really great technique. Like, something an NFL scout's going to love to see is you saw Byron Murphy from Texas do this entering the NFL draft this year, is when Chidoze gets doubled because of his smaller frame. Byron Murphy, also a smaller defensive tackle, but for the NFL level, Chidoze is even smaller than Byron Murphy. So he doesn't just get blown off the ball. He has this technique. It's called the knee drop technique, where he drops to one knee. Guys aren't able to push him because of that. Immediately, once that one guy goes to the second level, get back up, shed tackle. And I've seen that from him a bunch. And it's just like the nuance to the position is so cool to see from him as a run defender. He gets an invite to a training camp for sure. I don't think there's a question there because they're going to want to see what he can do. Can this withhold in the NFL? Whether he gets drafted is just such an outlier at his size.
So Chidoze is listed an inch shorter and 20 pounds lighter than Byron Murphy.
Okay. An inch shorter. Okay.
He's 6 foot. We're going off the 5'11".
See, and I think Texas had him at 6'2". This is what I'm talking about.
Texas had him at 6'1", I think. I think I saw 6'1". Texas had him at 6'1", 308.
The same shit that's going on there, I think, is the same shit that's going on here. So it'll be about an inch.
It's tough. It's tough. There might be a team that falls in love with his technique and they just take him because of that. But he is small.
He is. So Nakai's getting drafted. Levante Bentley, do you think he's drafted?
I think this linebacker group is found enough success that someone might just take a flyer on the guy because of how good this unit was.
I agree. He's a good off-ball linebacker, a good run and hit linebacker. I do worry. I don't know how he's going to test. And him being a smaller linebacker, I wonder how people perceive that. But that's something to watch, at least for Colorado fans. Cameron Silman Craig, we already went over. Travis Hunter, no reason to. And then Preston Hodge, I do think gets drafted too. So what is that, like 5 or 6 guys?
I'll count.
Guarantees. Let's just the guys that we think are getting drafted. Preston Hodge, that's 1. Nikhai Hill-Green, 2. Travis, 3.
Deion
4. Maybe. Yeah, I think Deion.
I think he will.
Okay, Deion. LeJonte, me, I got to put it out there.
I'm throwing Will in. We'll go 5.5.
5. Okay, and then I'll throw Jimmy in that same half, so we'll go 6. I
think Jimmy or Will get drafted. So I think that's fair. The half is fair because I think one of them will be drafted.
Fair enough. We'll do that. All right. Well, that was a fun conversation. I think this is one we have closer to the end of the season too, Carter, where we're going to have a much more clear picture on this whole deal here. It's going to be an interesting time. You're going to start to hear stuff. For all the draft fans, go listen to Carter and I. No, I'm just joking. Go listen to the Dane Bruglers, the Daniel Jeremiahs of the world. I'm sure they'll be on these guys closer to draft time. One thing, stick your flag in that Nikhai Hill-Green part now, because I think people are going to catch on and really start to love the kid. So if you want to be early to the party, do that. But yeah, Carter, give the people your Twitter handle so they can go follow you.
Yeah, I changed it. Got rid of the numbers, Joey. We couldn't go just Carter Dillon. They didn't allow that one. So we're Carter Dillon FB for some Carter Dillon football action. So follow Carter Dillon FB. New Twitter handle, follow Let's Talk Buffs. Subscribe, like the video.
We need to get an LTB_Carter, I think, in my opinion, because you guys can go follow me at LTB_Joey. It's great Twitter handle, in my opinion. Yeah, but make sure you guys are liking and subscribing to this video. I think we're going to be back this next week, if not once, maybe twice. I want to talk to Carter about that. But until next time, guys, go Buffs.
Go Buffs.